What you're saying, everyone, football has disappeared for the weekend. I'm lost. Don't know what to do. International football's shite unless it's a major tournament. So we needed something to jump on and chat about, and it is UFC Paris this evening. It is on UK time. There's a 5 p.m. prelims, 8 p.m. main card. I know quite a few of you are UFC fans, and if you're not, then hopefully we can get you into it a little bit more, because I am hoping to jump into a few combat sports live streams in the near future as well. So again, as it's in Europe, there's a lot of UK talent on the card. A lot of people who we're going to be supporting from England, from Wales, from Ireland, from Scotland, all over the UK. So yeah, just going to do a little breakdown of the whole card in general. Give you some picks, predictions, who we think will win. Bit more of a deep dive into the main and co-main, which both have title implications at the moment. So yeah, we'll just run through it from the bottom to the top. First fight of the night, women's strawweight division. Shauna Bannon versus Hughes from America. Bannon from fighting out of Dublin, Ireland. I've seen her a few times, right? And I think she's absolutely terrible. Like, I'm backing her to win, obviously, because she's from the UK, but I seen her in Manchester at the Court Live and she scraped through a split decision. She just about got through a fight with Pooja Tomar earlier this year, where she got dropped hard in the first round and then came back to win by submission. But she's built a career just based off having a front kick and a front kick only, and that's only going to last for so long. Hughes, the American's a good wrestler. She can mix it up a little bit more. So I think this is where the Shauna Bannon train stops in the first fight tonight. So I'm going to pick Hughes. I think it will be a decision. It might just be a lay and pray, boring, wrestling, heavy fight. But she'll probably get the job done by points. Moving on, we've got Gustafsson versus Rinat Fakhretdinov in the welterweight division. A tough one, because Gustafsson's been on a bit of a tear, the Swede, recently. And when Fakhretdinov tends to come up against these opponents that are on a bit of a run and are a lot more well-rounded, he tends to struggle. And I think Gustafsson puts on that pressure, backs you up against the cage, that Rinat Fakhretdinov, the Russian, won't be able to get his wrestling off like he'd want to. I mean, all the wrestlers are nut huggers, aren't they? So if he can stop that, I think Gustafsson will have too much for him on the feet. And I think Gustafsson's takedown defence is enough to get him through this one. I think it'll be a decision again, maybe a 29-28. But I can see Gustafsson having enough pressure, having good enough takedown defence to navigate to a victory. Then we've got Brycek from Poland, another European, against Brad Tavares from America. I think it's a walkover. I think Brad Tavares has been in the UFC for 10, 15 years now. He's got all the experience in the world to get him through this fight. I've not seen anything from Brycek to impress me in any of his recent wins. So I'm going to take Bradford Tavares in this one. Probably points again. Maybe a submission, but there's not many kind of exciting knockout artists in these first few fights. But then we have Sam Patterson from England, from the UK, against Trey Waters from America. This is in the welterweight division again. Both huge for the division. I think Trey Waters is like 6'5", but Patterson's big, man. I think he's 6'2", 6'3", which is a big welterweight. And he's been on a journey where he'd made his UFC debut. He'd had a bad knockout against Yanal Alshmouz, the Israeli. And since then, he's kind of got his shit together again. He's a finisher. He can finish you on the ground, or like he did in his last fight, where he finished the fight on the feet against Danny Barlow. So I think Patterson's on the comeback trail, and I'm backing him to take this one as well. And we're going to have our first stoppage of the night. I think if Patterson can back him up I think Patterson can keep up with him on the feet. Obviously, Trey Waters is long and rangy, but Patterson can more than hold himself on the feet. And if he can manage to push him up against the fence, grab a single leg, get him to the ground, I think he'll finish him relatively easily on the ground. So I'm actually going to back a Sam Patterson sub in this fight. I think he'll get his back and probably get a choke. Moving on, we've got Caio Fernandes versus the newcomer taking this fight on late notice. Harry Hardwick from Cage Warriors, also from England. Caio Fernandes had a great win in his last fight against Guram Kutateladze, who kind of beats most people, to be honest. He beat Jordan Vucinic in his UFC debut. But again, Kutateladze just looked terrible in that last fight. And I don't know if it was more of a case of him being shocking than Caio Fernandes being that good. Because we've never seen him really set the world alight before that performance in his last bout. And Harry Hardwick is very talented. Is it too much of a step up on short notice to be fighting Caio Fernandes? He's ballsy to take it. And I really rate the English MMA that's coming out of our country at the moment. Like, they're all so well-rounded. Like, you think, like, it's up to the Americans and the Russians to have all the ground game and the wrestling style. And then we've seen the likes of Paddy Pimblett absolutely ragdoll Michael Chandler around the ring, who was like a D1 wrestler. So these English boys are no mugs, man. There's some great camps around the country at the moment. And I think Harry Hardwick might shock people here. Don't get me wrong, my head says Fernandes, but I'm actually going to go and back the English lad in this one as a big underdog on short notice to stamp his arrival in the UFC. So I'm going to go Harry Hardwick in this bout. I think it'll either be a points decision where he mixes in some ground game with his stand-up, or I think he might even get a submission if he can manage to get to Fernandez's back. But we'll see. It will be a tough match for him. And hopefully he manages to get another fight for stepping in on short notice. But we'll back Harry Hardwick for this one. We'll go with him. Next up, we've got Marcin Tybura versus a heavyweight debutant, Delija from Croatia. I think UFC tried to sign this guy in like 2019, 2020. I believe he was actually set up to fight Cyril Gane as a newcomer back then. Very well-rounded, got a good resume outside of the UFC, but that doesn't always resonate when making UFC debut. I know I've just picked Harry Hardwick in the last one, but that's probably a little bit biased. But Marcin Tybura is a well-known fraud checker. He can never beat anyone in the top 5, 6, but if he's got to fight anyone below him, he usually gets the job done. Like we've seen against Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin, who trains with Tom Aspinall, fighting out of the UK, was undefeated, ran into Marcin Tybura. And don't get me wrong, it was a close fight, which I thought Parkin might have just nicked, but you can't be going to split decision with Tybura anyway. So I'm going to go for Tybura fraud check again, I think. I just think he'll have a little bit too much experience. He's been in there with some top guys. And like I say, Delija's making his UFC debut at the age of 35. I just don't think he'll have met the competition that Tybura has. So I'm going to take Tybura as an underdog in this one. Good price if you want to stick him on your ACCA. I think he'll get the job done. Probably by points. I just think he'll be able to strike on the feet, point score, and he's strong on the ground as well, so I don't think Delija will have his way with him there either. Next up, we've got Oumar Sy, the French light heavyweight, against Brenson Ribeiro, who again loses one, wins one, loses one, wins one. UFC love putting him in there with prospects because he usually gets obliterated by up-and-coming guys that have all the talent in the world. And Oumar Sy lost his UFC debut, I believe. So I think this is set up for him in front of a home crowd to get a finish. I think Oumar Sy will get the win against Brenson Ribeiro. I'll probably say a round 2, round 3 finish. Ribeiro's wild. Ribeiro comes for the kill, and I think that'll just end up walking him onto one of Umar Sai's shots from the outside from range. He's a good kickboxer. He's well-rounded as well. So I think Umar Sai gets the job done relatively easily. And I think he's the biggest favourite of the night, to be honest. He's like 1-6 or something along those lines. So, yeah, Umar Sai should get that done. Next up, we've got William Gomis. Again, French against Ruchala. Again, Gomis not had the best of it since coming into the UFC at UFC Paris. He's got a couple of wins, couple of split decisions, but he's just not getting that statement victory. Again, I think the UFC are kind of setting him up to get a statement win, to get the crowd hyped, to get the fans of Paris behind the promotion. UFC are clever, man. Dana White's clever. Hunter Campbell's clever. They're trying to branch out into all these new territories, so they need stars from those countries in order to sell out the shows, in order to increase their watchers, really. So William Gomis is going to take the win here against Ruchala, I think. He's not really that much of a knockout artist, and is at featherweight as well, so I think he'll get the points decision in this one. And that's it for the prelims. Some good fights on there, some English lads that we want to back and support. Obviously, the French fighters fighting at home as well with what I think are layups. And then we move on to the main card. We've got another French fighter making his UFC debut against Rhys McKee from Ireland. Again, probably too much of a step up for Soler to be making his UFC debut against Rhys McKee. Rhys McKee's not the best, but he is well-rounded enough to probably navigate the victory in this fight. I mean, he's been in there with the likes of Hamzat Chimaev. Do you know what I mean? So he's been in there with big competition. This is at welterweight, I believe, this fight. So having that experience, having those UFC fights, whether they've gone well or not, I think Rhys McKee will get the win in this one. Probably by decision again. Decision heavy card so far, but yeah, UFC debutant. They obviously want to put him on a rocket for the French crowd, but I don't think he's that guy. I'm surprised Umar Sai wasn't on the main card, to be honest, for that reason. But yeah, we're going to go Rhys McKee in this one with a decision win. Next up, this could be a banger. We've got Paul Craig against Modestas Bukauskas. They actually both fight out of the UK, even though Bukauskas is from like Lithuania or Romania or something like that. He actually fights out of Manchester. Trains with Tom Aspinall a lot as well. Got a great story where he was released from the UFC after not performing that well in his first 2-3 fights. Went outside the promotion, got himself a run of victories together, came back to the UFC, and now he's on a little bit of a tear. I think he's won the majority of his fights since he's made the comeback. Really rounded his game up, training with some killers up in the UK, and he's really improved. On the other hand, Paul Craig, who I love, man, he's given me some of the best memories in UK MMA over the last 10 years. His submission against Magomed Ankalaev, who's now the champion at light heavyweight, with 1 second to go in a 5-round fight, when he was like an 8-1 underdog, locked in the triangle. He locked in the triangle against Nikita Krylov in London straight after COVID when crowds were first allowed back. That popped off in the first round. Obviously snapped Jamal Hill's arm off, who also went on to become a champion. So it just proves Paul Craig can beat anybody on his day. I just feel now he's been found out a bit. There's only a certain amount of times you can lock someone in a triangle as a last-ditch attempt to win without people kind of clocking onto it. People know not to go into Paul Craig's guard and follow him to the floor. And I think the blueprint's been made now. Like, we've even seen Bo Nickel outstrike Paul Craig on the feet, who's like one of the best wrestlers America's probably seen. Chose to stand with him, beat him in the stand-up to a decision. So Bukauskas knows. Bukauskas knows not to go to the ground with Paul Craig. He's got to show good takedown defense. He's very smart on the feet. He's got great fight IQ, Bukauskas, so I think that's what's going to carry him through in this fight. It's very rare we see a Paul Craig fight go to the decision. He's kill or be killed. So I'm going to go for Bukauskas knockout. I think he'll have too much on the feet for Craig. Craig's got a good body kick, but average hands and average everything else. So Bukauskas will keep the fight standing, and I think he'll catch him at some point and get Craig gone. But I do love Paul Craig. Given some great memories, but I just think his time's kind of come now. I can't see him getting back to being ranked again at light heavyweight, but it should be a great fight. It should be a good fight to watch. Next up, we've got Oki, the Belgian, from against Mason Jones. Mason Jones from Wales. Again, a lot of hype on this guy coming into the UFC, and he has got a win in his last bout, but the performances have been a little bit iffy. But again, UFC experience, it's a tough one. I'm going to go Mason Jones. I don't rate him that much, but he just seems to have that dog in him to be able to take the fight anywhere he needs to in order to get the win. He can take it to the ground. He can strike. He can push someone up against the cage and clinch and point score and throw maybe a few knees in the guard. So I can see Jones again. I might be being biased again for the UK boys, but Oki's a beast, man. Knockout power. Mason Jones has just got to avoid that. And I think Mason Jones' best attribute is his chin. So if Oki can't get him out of there early, which I think he'll try and do, I think Mason Jones will be able to swing himself a maybe a split decision or a 29-28 unanimous. I just think he'll come on a little bit stronger in round 2 and round 3 if Oki can't get him out of there in the first round, which I don't think he will. So I'm going to go Mason Jones in this one by decision. Then we're on to the main event. It's France versus Brazil in both scraps. Both bangers. 4 killers. The UFC matchmaking has been absolutely unbelievable here. In the co-main first, we've got Benoit Saint-Denis from France. Ex-Marine. Ex-protector of the Presidente. Against Mauricio Huffy from the Fighting Nerds, who are arguably the best gym in the UFC at the moment. Got absolute killers over there. Ruffy. We've got Carlos Prates. We've got Jean Silva, who's fighting Diego Lopez in a couple of weeks' time. Caio Borralho, obviously, we're going to come on to in the main event in a minute. These guys just very rarely lose and most often finish all of their opponents. I don't know what they're eating in that gym in Brazil. So mad steadied up like steaks or something. But these guys are just absolute monsters. And Benoit Saint-Denis, I've made some good money off this guy in the past where he's come in as favourite against the likes of Dustin Poirier. Like, how wild is that? That was just off I think that was just off after a knockout win against Matt Frevola to break into the top 15. He got the shot at Dustin Poirier somehow. Obviously, UFC were trying to push him, like we spoke about a little bit earlier, push the French audience. But I think he's getting served up to an absolute monster here in front of his home crowd. I think Mauricio Ruffy is going to destroy Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis' only chance, like we've seen him take Poirier to the ground. We've seen him kind of maul him a little bit before he gassed out. I think, again, it's his only chance to win the fight is in the first round. But you can't do that against Mauricio Huffy because he'll just absolutely annihilate you. He trains with Caio Borralho. He trains with Carlos Prates, who are bigger guys. So Benoit Saint-Denis is not going to be able to bully him in the grappling. He's not going to be able to take him down easily. Ruffy's got great counter jiu-jitsu as well. So it's going to be a tough night for Benoit Saint-Denis, man. And his main problem is that he stands there and gets hit far too easily. He's got very little head movement. He walks forward in straight lines. I mean, we've seen him get KO'd off Dustin Poirier. We've seen him get caught in most of his fights. That he does end up coming through them in absolute wars eventually. But you can't be doing that against someone as dangerous as Mauricio Huffy for me. So yeah, I think it's going to be a brutal knockout. I think it could be a spinning wheel kick. It could be a flying knee. Ruff is so creative, so he can do it any way he wants, really. Benoit Saint-Denis is going to kind of rush forward, like I say, straight lines, chin in the air, and Mauricio Ruff is going to find it. So I think it will be a relatively comfortable fight for the Brazilian, and the Fighting Nerds will have another win on their record. So yeah, Mauricio Huffy by KO. Wouldn't even surprise me if it's first round, but I don't think it'll get out of the second. And last but not least, we've got Nassourdine Imavov from France as well, against Caio Borralho from Brazil. Again, from the Fighting Nerds. Absolute beast, man. Absolute beast. Undefeated, never lost. Come through on Dana White's Contender Series, and we know Dana loves to push those guys even more so than he does for people that have come straight in from other promotions, because it proves that the Contender Series works and it's worth watching. We've seen him push Jamal Hill, similar, who wasn't that great, let's be real, but he ended up holding the belt for a while. He come through the Dana White Contender Series. Same with Sean O'Malley. Pushed right to the very top from seemingly nowhere. And this is a little bit similar with Borralho. I know he's undefeated, but his level of opposition just hasn't been as strong as Imavov's has. Imavov's had to go through some fucking dogfights to get into this number one contender spot. He's beat the likes of Cannonier. He knocked out this is Imavov. He's beat Cannonier like Borralho has. Knocked him out though. He knocked out Israel Adesanya in his last fight. He's fought the likes of Sean Strickland. He's fought the likes of Joaquin Buckley. He's just got those bigger names on his resume. Borralho's best win is against Cannonier, which was by decision. But he did nearly knock him out with about 30 seconds to go. His best win before that was against Paul Craig. And the Paul Craig that we see today just isn't the one that was submitting Magomed Ankalaev and Krylov 5 years ago. So I don't think that win's aged that great, because Bo Nichols even beat Paul Craig since then. So I look at both the records, and there's only Cannonier on Borralho's record that's actually a decent victory for me. He is the favourite in this fight because he is undefeated. He is a beast. He does finish most of his fights. He can submit you. He can knock you out on the feet, like we've seen him do to Paul Craig. But I'm going to go the underdog, I think, just because I can't believe he's an underdog in the first place. It's great value. Imavov has just knocked out Israel Adesanya on the feet. Borralho's best chance is probably on the ground. I think Imavov's the better striker. He's got the crisper boxing. He's got the better footwork. He's probably got the better striking defense. Borralho's kind of wild, like all of those Fighting Nerds are. He will come forward. He will put the pressure on. And I think Imavov's defense is just going to be too good. He's got great counter wrestling as well. I don't think he's going to be easy to take down. I've seen clips of him wrestling with Cyril Gane, who's a heavyweight, and I mean Imavov's a middleweight, and he's holding his own on the videos that I've seen. So, and that's with someone that's 60 pounds heavier than him. So he's going to be too strong for Borralho to take to the ground, I think. And I just think his striking is going to carry him through. So I'm going to go... I think they're both too tough to get finished, but I'm going to go Imavov decision. Which isn't the best result with the current climate in the middleweight division. We've got another fight coming up in a month or so's time. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Renier Derrida. And it's kind of been set up almost like 2 semi-finals to see who fights Khamzat. Don't get me wrong, this tonight should be the number 1 contender matchup. Whoever wins this should fight Khamzat Chimaev, especially if it's Imavov, because he's currently ranked number 1. He's off the back of a win against Adesanya. But I think Dana's looking for that statement to build that fight against Khamzat. So if one of these gets the finish tonight, they go straight in. But if it's a decision, which I think it might be, I think Dana might just wait off a month before he makes that decision on the next title shot. Because Fluffy Hernandez and Renier Derrida is a great fight with 2 guys who like to finish people as well. Finish people on the ground, finish people on the feet. Both incredibly well-rounded. So if I was Imavov and Barajallo, I'd be going out there to try and get this done early tonight. Because it practically guarantees you a title shot at that point. And then we'll obviously see Derrida and Fluffy Hernandez fight in a month's time, probably to see who would be next in line for the winner of Khamzat Imavov or Khamzat Barajallo. But yeah, I have changed my mind on this one so much this week because Barajallo is a beast, and you can't underestimate people who are undefeated. But again, in his wins, he has looked in trouble a couple of times, but he's just a monster. Always manages to pull through. But when it comes to these 50-50 decisions, I just feel like I usually swing towards the more technically sound, the more defensively sound, the people who've got the better experience on the biggest stage. So that's why I'm going Imavov. I think he's got the better experience, and like I say, he's also the younger man as well. 28, I think Barajallo's in his 30s. But yeah, that experience against, like I say, Adesanya is going to be crucial in front of this wild audience as well as the home fighter. So yeah, I've got Imavov decision, and then we'll probably see how that fight goes in a month's time. But yeah, you let me know what you think. Who have you got in the main event? Who have you got in the co-main event? Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you disagree with me. Obviously, it's not football today, so apologies. I'm also dreading next week because it's the Manchester Derby, so the content will be flowing back then, but I'll be shitting myself, put it that way. But yeah, if you're looking for something to watch tonight, prelim starts at 5 o'clock, and if you can't be arsed with all those lower level fights, 8 p.m. main card. Drop in, then we can obviously discuss about this in the comments about how it went, how the picks went. Hopefully I'll be right, and if you fancy a little flutter, I hope we can make some bank together as well. So yeah, I'll catch you on the flip side. Speak to you next week about the footy at some point, hopefully. But yeah, enjoy your rest of the weekend, people. See you in a bit.